Greetings, old school magic players, and welcome to the Four Horsemen. Greetings, old school magic players. Welcome to another episode of the Four Horsemen. I'm the Chadster, and I'm joined here tonight with John Eccleberry and Tim Kincaid, and we're going to be covering our tournament number 20 semi-finals. The semi-finals match just went down a couple weeks back, and we have actually started our 21st tournament this past weekend. Tournament 20 wrapped up on May 11th, and it was a really great and interesting tournament with tons of spicy decks. And tonight we're going to be getting into this tournament 20 matches. Let me check in with Tim and John. Tim, are you with us?
Hey Chad, hey John, good evening.
Good evening, John. John, you there?
I'm here.
All right, the gang is here. We haven't done a video with the three of us yet, since we did some of the deck tech stuff, so it's nice to have the gang back together tonight. fourhorsemenmagic.com is our website, facebook.com/group/fourhorsemenmtg. We're the only old school format that focuses exclusively on Arabian Nights, Antiquities, Legends, and the Dark. And in tonight's video, we're diving into this really spicy semifinals match. This is our second to last videos for Tournament 20, and it's been a really interesting tournament. Tonight's match is Virgilio Dominguez versus Old School Alex Veal. And Virgilio and Alex have both been playing in several of our prior tournaments, making it deeper and deeper into the event. And it's really cool to see Virgilio and Alex facing off in this semifinals match. Virgilio is playing a Tron deck. Just straight up Tron was his deck name. And we'll get into the deck here in just a minute. And Alex is playing a mono green Stompy deck. And mono green Stompy won tournament number 19, I think. And so Stompy's been making a pretty interesting resurgence. Tim and John, let's get into these decks. Let's start with Virgilio's Tron deck. Have you guys gotten to take a good look at Virgilio's deck before? Because this is a pretty spicy brew.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it looks like he's got the artifact base Tron with all the colorless mana, but interestingly, he's gone three colors. He's not just blue Tron. A lot of times we see blue because of transmute artifact reconstruction. There's some really, and mana drain is really cool with the colorless robots, of course. We see blue a lot, but he's gone into, looks like some blue blue with black and green is what I'm seeing there. Drop of honey and silver.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. He's if we go all the way back to some of the early tournament decks, both John and Tim, you guys were helping check out some of those early deck photos. We saw decks using reconstruction and transmute artifact in the early days, but this deck's got a few more angles. Abyss is restricted in the modern Four Horsemen BNR. And so he's added a few extra spicy cards like the Drop of Honey and the Sylvan Library, along with Greed. He's got a Greed sitting in there. And he's splashed in Ivory Tower, Fountain of Youth. So he's got a life gain selection here, as well as some extra creature destruction. And then on row 2, he's got a Skull of Orm kind of sitting in there between the Recall and the Rocket Launcher, as well as one Candelabra.
Yeah, Candelabra can give tons of mana, right, with these Tron lands, or even with the single workshop.
Yeah.
But especially with the Tron lands, and it can let him reach things like 8 mana to play a Skull of Orm and use it to get back like a drop that, you know, when the graveyard drop, or the Abyss that got killed by another enchant world, he can grab that back. Or if something got Desert Twistered or something like Greed or Sylvan, he can get those back and use it with 8 mana. And then all that colorless mana with Candle is pretty cool, I think, with Rocket Launcher. I feel like it's becoming, in a deck like this, it's like a fireball of the format.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, we don't have Fireball, we don't have Earthquake, we don't have Disintegrate, and the Rocket Launcher is kind of quickly becoming a major damage tool, mainly using the modern wording where it says that it gets destroyed at the end of the next end step, right? And so people activate it at the end of their opponent's turn, and then it doesn't get destroyed until your next end step, so you can activate it on your turn as well after you've activated at the end of your opponent's turn. So it's a tricky little combo, but it does require a lot of patience. It's effectively, you gotta pass turn effectively 3 times, once when you play it and 2 more times to really get the full benefit out of it. So your opponent does have a few turns to try and get rid of it, but it's showing to be, Rocket Launcher is showing itself to be pretty powerful. But even beyond that, you know, it's really the Tron lands that power this deck. You know, we're in the modern Four Horsemen banner restricted, workshops restricted, factories restricted. So Virgilio's really leaned into the Tron lands to give him the mana he needs.
Yeah, interesting to me is the Tabernacle. That's restricted too, right, guys?
Yeah, Tabernacle, Maze of Ith, Strip Mine, all restricted.
Yeah, Virilio's not playing a lot of creatures, so it's like he gets that Tabernacle, and then all of a sudden, if he has to play 1 mana for a Trike or 2 mana for a couple robots, it's really nothing if he has Tron out. You know, he can tap a Urza's Mine or a Tower and pay for all his creatures with one land tap.
Yeah, you kind of wonder, is he running enough creatures? You make a good point. He's only got 8 creatures plus a factory. Like, that's unbelievably slim.
Yeah, I mean, he has the 2 tutors, so that's kind of 2 more, because he's gonna tutor one up using a cheaper artifact, and then he's got all those reconstructions to recycle them and bring them back. But you know, if somebody was able to, I don't know, remove one from the game or something, that really hurts him, because then he just doesn't have access at all. I would probably run at least 4 more dudes, maybe Suchi, maybe Clockwork Avian. You know, but something else, just so that you have more to do. And you can't always get to 6 right away either. So like, it would be kind of nice to have one guy that's lower on the curve, you know. But I don't know. What do I know? This deck did well, right?
Yeah, it's done really well. I mean, Virgilio's had a phenomenal record. In Tournament 20, we had, I think we had 6 groups of 5 players each, and you know, this deck did phenomenally. He kind of dominated his group matches and soared right through the top 16. You know, we had top 16s playoffs in this as well. Won his top 8 match, and you know, it's going to be really interesting to see how the deck does in today's match versus Alex. You know, why don't we take a look at Alex's mono green Stompy deck? What do you guys think of this mono green blue?
I think it screams consistency and speed. Like, I'm seeing a lot of, like, what's that, 12 or 11 1-drops.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of 2-drops, and then it curves out at 3 and 4. He is heavy on the 4-drops, but I think this deck is okay with Suchi, right? Like, even if it gets blown up or he takes mana burn. I mean, he's gonna probably be ahead on life already because he's so aggressive. So it's a fast, aggressive green aggro.
Yeah, he's got 38 creatures and 1 Sylvan and then 1 Tanos' Wand to make a creature with power 2 or less unblockable, which is interesting.
It's good with the bees as like kind of a finisher, or even just with one of his little guys. If he, because sometimes these decks stall out, they hammer in really hard, and then don't quite seal the deal. And the wand maybe allows him to just get those last 2 points of damage in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting, spicy little throw-in.
Same thing with the sword and the board. He's also got a Sword of the Ages that he can bring in if he wants more of that kind of thing, to have kind of a coup de grace to finish the other guy off.
Yeah, the Sword of the Ages is really spicy. If you can't break through, you can just throw all your dudes at your opponent for their power and damage, which is pretty cool. Yeah, both of these decks are really interesting. You know, I think Alex has taken some inspiration from John DeProse's Tournament 19 win, where he won with basically an all-green creature Stompy deck as well. But this deck's running artifacts like Suchi just to give it a little extra fast power. And in his sideboard, he's got some dervishes. He's got, looks like some desert twisters, some crumbles, and an extra scavenger folk, and then some avoid fates, along with some deserts, a maze of Ith, a diamond valley, and a strip mine. So he's got a lot of utilities in his sideboard.
Yeah, one thing I see here, Chad, John, is that, being mono green, it opens up the door to be able to run a card like Desert, right? A lot of decks mana base can't support the colorless lands, in addition to like having a factory and a strip mine, and then deserts. There's a bunch of, but mono green can run Desert, so that's kind of cool if he goes in like another weenie mirror match or little aggro beaters. That's a cool advantage. I was going to say that, a really cool card that I think could start being played in mono green is, what's that guy from Antiquities that says whenever your opponent casts an artifact or plays an artifact, he gets +1/+1?
Yeah, the
Sentinel Druid. It's lunatic backwards. The Druid.
Sentinel Druid.
Sentinel Druid. Yeah, Sentinel Druid. It's like instead of everybody runs the Dervish sideboard, right, to stop like the Abyss and black stuff, but black cards, black spells. But the Sentinel Druid would just like hose artifact decks like this Tron, or you could do something like splash Taigas and play, like cities, and play like a Blood Moon or something. I feel like the Tron deck would be really weak to cards like that, a Sentinel Druid or a Blood Moon.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm kind of wondering what the deserts are for. Like, is he thinking, oh, if I come up against Urnums, I can desert their Urnum, and or is it in combination with his damage to kill him off, or is he thinking he might come across weenie decks where the deserts would be useful?
Well, he can stack up that extra damage, like you said, either with a fatty, or he can pump something with Wailuli Wolf, or it's just that extra little bit in order to break parity with other decks that are playing a lot of the same guys. It's probably pretty good, and he doesn't really need to run. Like Tim said, he's got plenty of forest. He doesn't really. Oh, and he's playing. I like that he's playing 3 Pendelhaven too, because the card's just so good. Even though you can't have them all out at the same time, it's just so good for this deck to have one and to have it early. I do like the Sentinel Druid idea. I think it's just one of those cards that it's not sitting around in a lot of people's collections and multiples. And even though we allow proxies, you still got to make them. But everybody's got dervishes because they got reprinted.
Yeah.
Also, dervish just gets the counter automatically every turn, so it can be a pretty potent threat pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas the druid, they have to cast artifacts in order for it to build up. But still pretty cool. I like trying to play all the good 1 and 2 drops if you can, and that seems like another reasonable 2-drop to give a try.
Yeah, I really like the other cards in his sideboard outside of the deserts. I like the fact he's got some desert twisters, so he can take out some big heavy hitting enchantments if they come down, like the Dark Heart of the Wood, or something like Arborea. He's got an answer, at least a couple answers to take out some of those big enchantments. And then the crumbles, the 3 crumbles, we're seeing crumble as like a powerhouse in Four Horsemen. It can gain you life, it can save you in interesting scenarios, and it can get rid of stuff that can be really annoying, like Ivory Tower or even their factory as an instant. And I think it's great he's got the scavenger in the main, but he's got, 4 extra artifact destruction in his board, which I think is really smart.
Yeah. When we went back and looked at the other Wild West decks from Tournament 1 for our last video, I feel like Desert Twister was all over the place because people obviously honed in on the fact that it's one of the only things that can, blow anything away in this format. And it doesn't really matter that it costs 6 because the format's a little bit slower, although this deck's probably pretty fast. This is probably one of the faster decks in the format. This and maybe the Tax Edge deck that plays a lot of the little 1-drops. But most of the decks take a minute to get going.
Yeah, the fact that he's got the Gasman Ogres mixed in here, we've seen a few decks try Gasman Ogre in the past. As long as your opponent's not running red and a first turn Chain Lightning, like a first turn Gasman's a 2/2 beater, and then you've got all these other guys to follow, or even late game when you're ahead and you've got an Urnum and a Suchi and the Flyer and stuff, it's just one more hitter that can hit in for extra damage. So it's really interesting choice to include the Gasmans as well.
I also think that I could see in a scenario where this deck, say it's on 3 lands and it doesn't have more than 3 mana, right? Because it may not play. I don't know how many forests that Alex has there, but I'm thinking he may not run a ton of mana. I would be curious to know, but say he stalls on 3, those 4 Suchis can become like a dark ritual of sorts on steroids. He could imagine he stacks a Scavenger Folk or Diamond Valley, if he has one of those, stacks the Suchi, and then he needs 2 green mana and he can play Desert. I feel like Desert Twister would be really strong main deck to be able to be cast off a Suchi for 3 mana.
Yeah, maybe like after the attack phase if you need to blow something up.
Yeah, like if he gets Spirit Linked or something, or he, you could just throw him away and cast a Desert Twister with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm pretty sure he's got 17 forests there. He doesn't have the dice on there, but he's got 38 dudes and 2. He's got 1 Sylvan and 1 Tawnos wand. So I'm assuming he's an even 60, and he's got those 3 Pendlehavens and 17 forests is what's going on, I think.
Yeah, I know it's not ideal, but being able to cast a 6 mana spell I could just see that being a possible line of play.
yeah, that is an interesting observation. Going back to Virgilio's deck, we didn't look too closely at his sideboard, but he's got a lot of diversity and utility in his board too. He's got Artifact Destruction, a Mirror Universe, a couple extra Boomerangs. He's got Desert Twister as well, an extra drop, a couple of Flash Floods, a Felden's Cane, Tormod's Crypt, and Flash Counters. So Virgilio's got his eye on the meta. You can tell the Four Horsemen meta. He knows what's up in the powerful brews and what's been winning. So, a nod to Virgilio for really keenly building a sideboard that's got a lot of utility against a lot of the top decks. I don't think he's got anything that's really crazy good against Alex, except for maybe that extra drop of honey and that Mirror Universe and the Pyrotechnics up there. Those are definitely 3 cards I could see him sideboarding.
Yeah, the red splash is really kind of weird to me at first. I'm like, well, he can't cast it against Alex.
Yeah, he talked to me about this. So he told me later that this was an error, that he meant to play a couple of the dual lands that splashed red, and he forgot. So what's interesting is he does have the 3 Felwar Stones, so he basically can't play any of his red spells unless his opponent is playing red.
I assumed it was like against Blood Moon. Like, I'll bring in these powerful red cards if they're playing Blood Moon. And he'll bring in Flash Flood, of course, which is a perfect card to deal with Blood Moon because he would really struggle against that card.
Well, but so many decks are playing red. But, he did tell me this was an error, an actual error. Okay. So I think he said that he doesn't end up sideboarding his Detonate or his Pyrotechnics because they, without being able to reliably have the red mana on his own, he just can't play those cards. So it's an interesting brewing error on Virgilio's part.
2 Desert Twisters it's fairly interesting to me as well. It's like getting double green. I could see, like, he has 4 Tropicals, and it seems maybe he would bring them in against green decks where he thinks he needs removal with a twister. Like, I guess he could get green from the 3 foul wash if they're playing. So he would have something possibly get double green. Otherwise, that's kind of a stretch. But
yeah, it is, right? He's only got basically 7 ways to get green out of this deck. But when would he even need double green? It's probably only against some of these like Arborea or life-gaining kind of decks, the Dark Heart Engine decks.
Right, those decks. They run city.
Right. Well, 2 really cool brews. Virgilio Dominguez Tron versus Alex Mono Green Stompy. Are you guys ready to get into the match?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. John, who are you betting on?
Yeah, who you betting on, John?
Well, the mono green did really well the last time. It in fact, I think it went all the way, right? In which tournament was that? Was that 19?
Yeah, it won. It won in tournament 19. That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. I mean, just jamming a guy every turn and turning him sideways. I mean, some people would look at that deck and be like, "Oh, it's boring," and it's like, well, it's effective. You know, it's redundant, which I think Tim mentioned at the beginning. It's going to be hard to contend with when you only have 8 creatures in your deck and they're all 6 drops. You know, I know he can generate a lot of mana, but if the other guy's got like 3 or 4 guys out and is beating in every turn, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. What do you think, Tim?
I think the Pixies are really strong here. The only card I could think of that Virilio could use to even deal with them is that 1 rocket launcher, but he only has 1 in the whole deck, but he does have 2 transmutes.
Yeah.
But he would have to draw that other transmute to deal with the Pixies. They seem very good. I actually think Gasman Ogre could be good. You know, it's a lot of things. If Virilio gets that 1 Abyss or that 1 drop or the rocket launcher, I think he's gold. Those are going to be really strong. There's no Desert Twisters main deck to deal with that, and no World Enchants, I don't think, in the green deck. No Concordant or anything like that, right? So
right.
I think it would favor Virilio if he gets those cards game 1 for sure.
All right. Well, let's see what happens. I've got the match queued up here. We're going to be playing this back at 1.5x speed. And let me get this zoomed in here for us.
Yeah, I'd actually love to see some of these green aggro running like a couple Twisters main deck and 2 sideboard with, like I said, with the Suchi. Or even a Concordant would be really nice to stop this and stuff.
Yeah. All right, so we've got Alex on the left with his old school Quebec moat mat, and Virgilio on the right. Okay, it looks like Alex is on the play, starting off with the Forest. He doesn't get a first turn drop, which is kind of shocking, right?
Right.
He's got a lot of options for turn 1 drops.
Hey, Chad, are you able to make your screen any bigger?
What you can do, Tim, is on your side, hold your mouse in the upper right-hand corner and do full screen on the video that I'm sharing, and it'll go full screen for you.
Got it, thanks.
Okay, so Alex is off to a very fast start here. 2 Wailuli Wolves on turn 1. So what is that Diamond Valley doing in there?
I'm thinking he didn't have another land yet. I don't feel like the Diamond Valley is great in this matchup at all.
The Diamond Valley is in his board, isn't it?
He had 1 main deck. I was talking, I think, about Suchi being able to be cast off sacking to Diamond Valley, casting to Desert Twister.
Oh, okay.
Oh, guess what Alex drew? He got the turn 3 rocket launcher.
The turn 3 rocket launcher, that's right. Along with the Fountain of Youth, so he's going to be gaining a little life. And do you guys know the Tron lands by the artwork?
Yeah, he's got a mine and a power plant there. He needs a tower.
Okay.
He has my favorite mine, the one with the big gold face on it.
Yeah, the mouth is like the entrance to the mine where the cart and on the path comes in. And The power plant is the little like electric bug.
So he's one land away from Tron here, and he's got 6 mana, so he can also play his, with those Fellwar Stones coming early, he can play a Tetravus or a Triskelion.
I just think he's got he's got one rocket launcher in his deck, and he's got that in play, and that's all he really needs to kill. See, I would almost be holding those Wyluli Wolves back just to protect against that rocket launcher instead of swinging.
So he can do...
Yeah, he could really screw up the math on those if he held them back to pump his stuff.
Yeah,
instead, I feel like he's going to get... well, okay, so...
He blocked with his factory there, I'm assuming, and pumped him?
No, it looked like end of turn. He tapped 2. He had 4 mana open. He tapped... It looked like
he tapped 2 to use the rocket launcher on one wolf, and then the other wolf saved that wolf, and then that wolf got killed. And now he's going to untap and just kill the dragonfly and the wolf.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, that's pretty good value. He's getting 3 for 1 here.
Wow.
And I feel like I said, if he didn't swing with that wolf, he would have been able to save that wolf that turn.
Yeah, because he could have pumped whatever he targeted with the rocket launcher and beefed it up. Okay, so he doesn't have Tron, but he can do 1, 2. So he just does 1 more damage to each of those wolves.
Yeah, he can't kill the slug, but like still 3 for 1 is pretty good. And now he can just drop, Tetravus or a Trike. Whatever.
It wouldn't have mattered really. He would have had to tap 2 more mana if he saved his wolf and didn't let it die at end of last turn. But now he wouldn't have had the 2 mana to block with his factory as a 3/3 on that 2/4 slug. So he would have taken 2 here.
Well, he's able to block the slug with his factory and pump it with those guys bouncing. So that's a pretty good defense.
Yeah, I'm just saying that he would have had to tap 2 more mana with his factory to kill that wolf. But anyway, he got to block that turn.
So he's got another mind here. Oh, and he's reconstructing the rocket launcher. Wow.
Yeah, that one rocket launcher, if he gets that and he can get it back with reconstruction, or if he gets his enchantments and he gets the abyss or the drop and he gets that back with the what is it, Skull of Worm?
Yeah, the Skull of Worm.
That could just be insanely powerful.
What are you doing?
So he's just straight attacking in here with his wolf and his slug and playing another slug.
Yeah, he used the wolf to pump, but I think he's just made the decision to just beat face and not worry about how much stuff he loses. And just get there. Because I would have been tempted to hold the wolf back again, knowing the rocket launcher's out there again, but...
All right, so Virgilio's got 9 mana now, so he can almost deal 5, but if he gets that, he's got 2 towers, or he's got 2 mines and a power plant, so he needs a tower.
Yeah, 9 mana with Tron not online, and that's just wild.
Yeah.
If he gets a tower, he's gonna have so much. But there's no good big X damage spells in this format. They're all ABU. So rocket launcher's maybe the best card for the deck.
Right. Yeah, it's the only large damage X type spell we have really, other than Detonate is the only other one that has that kind of damage built in.
And the Sword of the Ages is kind of like the aggro version. If you have playing a bunch of creatures, you can just throw them all at once.
Right.
He does have Alex down to 13, looks like, so he's done some damage.
Yeah, he's been getting.
It's gonna hurt though, because he was at 12, and when the aggro player is just trying to chip in that 20, and then random life's getting gained, it just really sucks. It's gonna be tough for him now at this point.
Right. The fountain, yeah, it's gonna negate the little chip aggro damage at this point, probably. I agree. So he did use the rocket launcher. Now he untaps.
Yeah.
He'll get to use the launch. Oh, he must have used the rocket launcher during his main phase instead of end of turn step because it went away. I didn't catch that, but he must have used it during the attack step to finish off like some things. I don't know what he did, but
Yeah, he just did 1 damage to the elf, and looks like he finished off 1 slug, took out an elf and a wolf. All right, so he's got. Is that the Tron there? No.
No, it's another mine. He's got triple mine now.
Okay.
I'm thinking when the slug attacked in and he pumped it with a wolf to make it 3 power, and he had a factory there to block. I guess he didn't want the factory to die to a 3/5 slug. So maybe that's when he just tapped everything during attack and used the rocket launcher
to get rid of it. Yeah. Okay, so another wolf coming down for Alex here, and this factory is really saving Virgilio here. If he didn't have this factory, I think it would be game, because it's been able to block this slug so many times.
I'd love to see 1 crumble, even main deck in like any green deck. Right?
Oh, now Virgilio drops his Maze of Ith, so that presents a real problem for Alex here. He's got him at 9, but
he does have Scavenger Folk's main deck, but sometimes Scavenger Folk is just not enough. I'm a big fan of that 1 crumble.
Yeah, me too.
There was a pretty clutch remove soul on a Pixies.
Yeah, right.
There's the answer for Pixie. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. That's a nice notice there, John. We're over here talking about, the other ongoings, but this 1 remove soul of the Pixie to slow Alex down even more.
I wonder if he just top decked the remove soul off of a greed activation to get there.
Yeah, he definitely used the greed, right? He's down to 6.
He went down to 6.
He should just use it 3 more times.
Oh, wow. Now he's reconstructing the rocket launcher again. Holy crap. Wow.
If that rocket launcher was just chilling, in the middle or bottom of his library, this would be a very different game.
Yeah, and same for that 1 factory. The factory's given him the defense to stave off the giant slugs.
I mean, he's probably got more than 1 factory, though, right?
No, it's restricted. Yeah, we're back. This is normal Four Horsemen here, so the factory's restricted.
Oh, yeah. The Wild West is the one that's going on currently.
That's right, yeah. Okay, Ernham coming down here, but the maze is out. And if Virgilio gets his Tron land here, he's going to be on an unbelievable amount of mana.
And he's greeting down to 5?
Yeah.
He must have gained... Oh, he gained 1 from Fountain.
He's gaining 1 with the Fountain of Youth, and then he's paying 2 with the greed to draw.
So he's kind of technically just kind of paying 1 life. He nets -1 to get that card.
Yeah.
Pretty powerful combo. Fountain of Youth with the greed.
Oh, man. Another power plant. Oh, there's a tower.
He's got the tower. Yeah, he's got like 3, 4, 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13 Tron colorless mana from those Tron lands.
Boomerang. Wow, he's bouncing that Ernham back. Answers. Virgilio keeps finding the answers. He's got 2 boomerangs in his deck. He found 1 when he needed it. Okay, so does he have Tron now?
Oh, yeah. He can just blow everything away.
Oh, my God. How much mana is that?
13.
Well, he has 20 mana on board.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
13.
So he could deal 10 damage with 20 mana, right?
Yeah, I count 27 other mana plus the 13 from the Tron. 20.
So there's been a big debate kind of raging on in this tournament, because so many players faced off against Virgilio, and the rocket launcher beat them all. And people are asking, should rocket launcher be errated? Where it just...
No, stop.
that's what the gang is asking about.
That's hilarious. So when people say stuff like that, they need to take a step back and think about what they're saying.
Yeah.
Like, we're playing with like some admittedly kind of shitty cards in a niche format. Like, you can't just get rid of everything, and like, it's not even like there's not answers to it. I mean, I know that nobody plays white really, but Dust to Dust would just straight up get rid of it. He wouldn't be able to recur it. And there's plenty of artifact destruction, like blow it up when it hits the board before it gets used or whatever. But It's amazing though that he won that many games with it when he only has one in his deck. He must just be lasting long enough to draw it.
Well, he does have transmute, so he can go get it if he needs it, right?
That's true. He has 2 transmutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in a deck that was playing like John, white with Divine Offering, Dust to Dust, or red with, if people ran cards like Artifact Blast, Blood Moon, you know, just great sideboard cards against stuff like this. Shadow.
Yeah.
So he had to, Alex had to Diamond Valley his Urnum to survive that last massive rocket launcher, dealing him some damage and some to the Urnum.
So he's recurred rocket launcher twice in this game, right?
He's now used it 3 times.
6 times, basically.
Yeah. That was the 3rd time. So that was the 6th time using it, or 5th time.
And if you imagine the Sentinel Druid, right? After he's played 3 Felwars and a Tome and a Fountain of Youth, and that rocket, like the Sentinel Druid would have been like 6/6, the first rocket launcher that was used or something. Or maybe a
also, like, rocket launcher, I mean, sure, it's colorless and can be included in any deck, but, like, it's more of a combo piece. Like, it certainly looks a lot better in a shell like this, where you've built your entire deck around it to both produce a ton of mana and recur it, than it would if it was just, you know, in the mono green deck. You know, if it got played in there, it does what? It does, like, 2 damage and then 2 damage on the next turn, so 4 total. Who cares?
It's like a pyrotechnics for like a total of like 12 mana.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. It's great with Tron lands. I mean, I love it in Verlio's deck.
I mean, I love seeing people play the Tron lands. I don't think that they've really gotten a very good showcase yet in this format. I mean, some people have tried to play them, but you know, with Workshop available and whatnot, I never really tried to play them in my artifact decks. It might be worth looking at again.
Well, so meanwhile, guys, Virgilio's dropped a couple of trikes as he's really caught up here. He's still sitting at 6 life, but now he's got 2 Triskelions, and he strip mined Alex's Mazavith.
Is that a Jalem Tome underneath that power plant? I think it is. So he's drawing like 3 cards a turn if he wants, with Greed, Jalem Tome, and his 1 card for turn, gaining a life. He pays 1 life and he can look at 3 cards a turn. It looked like he discarded a Sylvan Library to his Jalem Tome. He's like, I don't even need this because I'm going through 3 cards every turn anyways.
He's done pretty well managing his life total, and also now this is the kind of game where Urnum becomes kind of a big liability.
Right.
Because he can just, like, you know, start forest walking on him every turn with that trike if he wants to.
Yeah.
Although he's popping off some arms to kill that killer bees. So
yeah, he's also got his 1 maze, so like you would think maybe Alex could have left all those forests to guard that killer bees against those trikes, but it's like the maze is there, so he has to try to play other threats, right? And there it is, the Tetrabus. That's probably game.
Yeah.
Probably
it doesn't even need the forest walk. It's got flying. So this is where he's finally going to start beating in.
Yeah, it looks like he had to remove like 5 counters or 4 counters to kill that killer bees off from 2 trikes.
Yeah, to adjust for the pumps.
Is he? Oh, he's winning. He's gaining a life. He's pointing and going up 1 in a turn.
Yeah, he's trickling upward each turn with his Fountain of Youth there.
These games are really frustrating for aggro players, I feel like, when they just, like, can't quite seal the deal.
Yeah.
I think he had him down to, 5, I think, at one point, or 4 maybe, but is just not, he's not going to get there now.
Yeah.
That's kind of the feeling a lot of times with aggro decks without red, right? Without the burn, like.
Yeah, you need reach. Well, this is why, like, it's so much better when you have the reach over the top at the end to be, and something like, I don't know, what could he have? He could have like Stormseeker or something, but that wouldn't even be good at this point because the other guy doesn't have very many cards in his hand.
Well, Virgilio's got 3 or 4 cards in his hand, I think, right at this point, and he was drawing with greed. So you're right, though, John. Having the Stormseeker is a very sneaky instant damage. That if he greeted a couple of times and got a little low, you could zap him with the Stormseeker as an instant. If he's
like I could see. Imagine if he had ran 4 Stormseekers over like four Suchis or
Right.
that wand or something.
Yeah.
Imagine he could have played like 2 Stormseekers when Virgilio was at like 5 or 6 and finished him off.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, I'm gonna pause this.
Or just run green red and have green lightnings and have pyrotechnics. But I do like the consistency of monocolor, and I like seeing it played. So I don't know. It's a toss up.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go back to the decks here. I'm gonna pause the match and let's jump back over to the deck photos and let's talk about sideboarding. Okay,
I don't really feel like Alex made too many errors that game. I just feel that he just kind of got overwhelmed with the card advantage and that one rocket launcher that was drawn,
Yeah. I actually kind of misread his deck here. I didn't realize the Strip Mine, Diamond Valley, Maze, and the Deserts were main deck. They're facing right side up.
Yeah, they're up.
Yeah, okay. And then the sideboard cards are next to it, but they're upside down to indicate that they're in the board. So obviously the Scavenger Folk, he's got Scavenger Folk and 3 Crumbles. Knowing that there's all this artifact regeneration, you pretty much have to side those in, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he just got wrecked by that rocket launcher, like straight up.
Yeah.
If that hadn't come down early, he would have been fine.
Yeah.
And he made a pretty conscious decision early to try to just ignore it and just beat in, which I can respect. But when you have it dropped on you 3 times in a row, it's kind of hard to deal with.
Yeah, it was crazy. So he's got to put in that Scavenger Folk, and he's got to do those 3 Crumbles. Does he need the 2 Desert Twisters on top of that?
I think. What do you think, John?
Well, I mean, he has some stuff that he could take out, right? Like, I don't think that wand probably is very good here. And are there 2 of them? Are there 2
There's
wands?
just one. There's well, actually, you know what? It does look like there's 2, doesn't it?
It does look like there's a card underneath it. So, like, I don't know. Probably just bring in the Crumbles and call it a day and just try to stick to the same game plan. If he really wants the extra removal, I guess he could. I mean, what would you take out? Take out the bees or the Suchis?
Well,
I don't know.
Think about what gets hit easily by the rocket launcher and what gets hit by Triskelion. Does he need his elves of Deep Shadow?
I mean, maybe not. Maybe the elves can come out.
Yeah.
I really like Gazban Ogre in this matchup, though. I think it could be really good if he drops a couple early.
Right. Well, the elves can be a risk if you're running Gazban, so because they're going to damage you when you tap them.
Well, that's fair. So maybe take the elves out and the wands out, and that's 6 cards right there.
Yeah.
And so then you can get the Crumbles and the maybe the
and
Twisters
and the
Is there
Desert
anything
Twisters
better?
in there. Yeah, and you know what? Thinking about your comment in that last match, he needed some reach, right? He's not running those Stormseekers in his board, but he is running the Sword of the Ages. So is the Sword of the Ages tempting here? It's slow. It costs 6. He's got to keep all his dudes in play, but could that be a way for him to just throw some guys before the rocket launcher goes off?
It would have been enough damage to seal the deal in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the sword. I feel like in a scenario where he faces a biscuit's dropped or a drop of honey comes down or, a rocket launcher comes down, that he wants to hope to have that. Hopefully he can have that sword ready to be, or in play, ideally.
Yeah.
And he can just throw the 3 or 4 guys he has at him for, 6 or 7 damage or whatever he's got.
The other thing is I don't think he needs his Maze of Ith or his Deserts. Like they're very defensive. And I know he needs mana, but the Maze does not tap for mana. So you could argue that he could pull the Maze and the Deserts out as well.
Yeah. He could pull the Diamond Valley too.
Well, the Diamond Valley kind of saved him. It didn't save him. It allowed him to hang on longer than usual. the Diamond Valley might do the same thing this time and keep him in the game long enough to get his Sword of the Ages down and throw it.
Maybe so.
So I would pull out one of those maze. I'd pull out the Maze of Ith and maybe one desert. And well, how many more cards do we want to try and squeeze in? Just the sword?
I would bring in everything but the Void Fate. I don't think the Void Fate is strong enough just for Boomerang. I feel like that's more of an anti-enchantment.
Everything, including the Dervish? What's he going to take out to get the Dervish in?
Well, I'd rather have Dervish that's anti-Abyss than, say, like the Dragonfly or the Wolf here, I think.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we don't know for sure. Well, actually, these guys saw the deck photos. So Alex would know if he looked at the deck photos that there is a one of Abyss, a one main drop, and then a sideboard drop. So that's a good point, Tim.
Yeah, if you can get a turn 2 Dervish and start pumping it up for a few turns, it could also get out of rocket launcher range before turn 4 or 5.
So what? But he's gonna need if a Triskelion comes down. Does he take out his flyers to put in the Dervish?
I'm not a big fan of the Dragonfly, the Wolf in this. I feel like the Wolf is for other combat tricks against other aggro decks.
Well, but here's the thing: the Dragonfly can be pumped with the Pendlehaven, and it can be a 2/3 flying first strike. So, and with the Wailuli Wolf, it can become like a 3/4 flying first strike.
Yeah, but it'll still die to rocket launcher, Abyss, and Trike.
Yeah. Well, so does the Dervish.
If you get the Dervish down early, it might be big enough to survive things like Trike rocket launcher, and it will survive Abyss.
Well, so I don't know. So we take out the 4 elves and the 2 Tanos wands, and you put in the 3 crumbles, the scavenger folk, and the 2 desert twisters, and then you take out the Maze of Ith, and you put in the Sword of the Ages. And then you take out the Dragonflies and you put in the Dervish, the 4 Dervish. Is that the play?
Sounds fine to me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look at Virgilio's board. Virgilio's probably just going to put in the extra drop of honey and maybe the Mirror Universe, right? And
yeah, the Mirror Universe would be pretty fun in that match where he knows the other guy is trying to just beat in hard.
Yeah. So if he's got basically 2 cards to board in. The Boomerang helped him last game. What would you board out?
I wonder if he would bring in those Boomerangs, but like you said, what would he board out for that? Maybe
Right.
Would he board out Candelabra for Boomerang? I don't know if Candles. I guess it's decent if he gets Maze or.
Yeah, it can be used with the Maze of Ith and the Factory, so it's pretty strong against those. He needs 2 cards just to put in the Mirror and the drop. So he's not really worried about enchantment destruction on the part of Alex, so he could take out that Skull of Orm. Does he really need the Skull of Orm?
It recurs drop of honey, which is kind of good, but other than that, I don't know, it's pretty slow. He could also probably just take out like a Tetrabus.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe one Tetrabus.
card.
It's also a little slow in this matchup, and
Well, he might want to take out. I don't know. Does he need the recall? Recall's very slow too. And what's he going to be? Well, he might be grabbing the rocket launcher again. With the reconstructions and the recall, you can get a reconstruction back if you can recall for X equals 2, and get 2 cards back.
his deck list is pretty tight. I'm not sure. I think that one drop and
Maybe your first instinct was right. Maybe the Candelabra is just not strong enough here. So maybe he pulls out the Candelabra.
And a Tetrabus for the mirror or something. Yeah.
Well, does he need these Fellwar stones? Like, he's got so much freaking mana. He could take out one Fellwar stone and a Candelabra, and then he can slap in the mirror and the drop, and he can still keep that Skull of Worm to get the drops of honey back.
I think the Fellwars help him. His mana base is greedy with just 4 tropicals to cast those drop of honeys. I feel like having access to green is helpful in this matchup to cast the drop.
That's a good point. Well, so does he just take out the candelabra and put in the drop of honey and not put in the mirror?
I would bring mirror and leave the Felwars to help cast things. Get to 6 mana if he doesn't get Tron.
Just take out a Tetravis and
that's what I do.
Candelabra. I think that seems fine.
All right, candelabra, Tetris coming out, drop and mirror going in. All right, so let's get back over to the game. And we're gonna queue up.
But you know, if Reconstruction became really popular, I'm curious if there's a card that removes artifacts from the graveyard. Like, isn't there like a creature from the dark that removes artifacts from the graveyard?
Eater of the Dead can remove creatures from the graveyard.
Eater of the Dead, Grave Robbers, is that one?
Grave Robbers will remove artifact and gain you 2 life. Yeah.
I wonder if people would start to sideboard stuff like that against artifact recursion.
I don't know. Kind of interesting. But I mean, there's also just like Tormod's script to like empty their graveyard or to remove their whole graveyard from the game. You know, or like I mentioned earlier, dust to dust for artifacts. You know, exiles them. So there are some answers.
Interesting. So, what do you guys predict game 2 here?
Well, that's right. John and I are chiming off of each other. I think if Alex can get the speed, like, let's be honest, game 1, the cards that made Virgilio win was number 1. He got his one of rocket launcher. There's only one in the deck, and number 2, he had his one of factory early to do a ton of blocking. And Alex never got a crumble because he didn't have a main. He didn't get a scavenger folk, so he couldn't blow it up. So those 2 cards were absolutely pivotal. So I think absolutely Alex has a shot. It's only 2 card change from what we're sideboarding. So if he can be on the play and be aggressive and get in there and maybe try and get his Sword of the Ages down, maybe he could throw everything for a big win.
Yeah, I think it's crucial how Alex chose to sideboard here. I have no idea what he did, but I think if he boarded out things like Desert and Diamond Valley and Maze and possibly like Woolooly Wolves, you know, if he boarded out those cards and brought in the others, it should help him a lot. He's going to have a lot of removal if he did that. I'm curious, though, if he would have brought in Desert Twister to battle Abyss and a possible drop of honey. Because, right, drop, if his opponent, if drop is cast, Alex untaps, it is upkeep, he could cast Desert Twister before the drop was killing of his creatures, correct? Or would the drop trigger before he could Desert Twister?
No, it triggers on the controller's upkeep. So
meanwhile,
he
could twister it before it killed.
Yeah. Meanwhile, check this out. Alex gets what I was thinking he would need. He gets the first turn Gasbin here, so he's going to be hitting in for a lot of damage. But Alex gets first turn Workshop Felwar.
They both have the nuts, but I almost feel like Workshop Felwar Factory is even stronger.
Oh my God, the Factory again! Jesus.
And the one Workshop.
These cards are restricted. How is this happening?
That's the nuts. Yeah, that's impressive.
Okay, so I mean this factory is just okay, but he's got the scavenger folk for the factory, thank goodness. So the scavenger folk are going to take out the factory there, which is a really nice save for Alex to get it out of the way, because that thing was a big problem last game.
Yeah, I wish he would have just had a crumble there. He could have just swung in. That would have been amazing. But he's got a pixie, so that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that was a play error on the part of Virgilio. I think he didn't think about the scavenger folk. Otherwise, he would have just kept his factory as a land.
Yeah,
look at this.
I agree.
Bam.
I think it's better probably just to keep it and like slam the trike down here this turn to kill.
Wow, Alex is on fire.
He's tearing it up now.
Wow. I mean, this is what you want to see. This is what I was hoping was going to happen. Okay, so Triskelion coming down, but he can't touch the pixies. So what do you do
it's
here?
It's still pretty good, though, because instead of a 8-point assault, it's crumble.
Crumble.
Whoa.
So
I don't think I would have crumbled that.
Yeah, I would have. Get it out of the way. I mean, yeah, he's gonna gain life, but
gain
like
6, and I would have
you
just
got to get it out of there.
So he takes out the Gazban, and he takes out an elf, and so he's able to hit in for
attack
5.
for 4 and put him down to 5 health with double pixie.
Yeah, the Pixie's here.
He would have just been at 5 from 9.
I learned in my last game with Tim how painful early Pixies are.
Shh, don't tell anybody yet. Spoiler alert.
Triskelion. Oh no, Tetravis coming out.
Well, Chad, we see how fast all these swarms of 1-drops and 2-drops can be right against control decks.
Yeah, they're really effective. And the Ivory Tower coming out. But
with
not,
2 cards in hand, it's not
3.
not
3
gonna
cards
be
not
anything.
enough. Yeah, so this is looking like it's game over for Virgilio here.
Well,
That was such a fast.
he's got another turn to play a maze or something, or
So he's
I don't know. He doesn't really have anything in his deck that can block those pixies, though.
No.
Or really deal with them. He needs his rocket launcher, I guess.
He needs rocket. Well, no, that's right. They can't be
It's
damaged.
going to be too late now, though.
Yeah, they can't be damaged by artifacts, right?
Yeah, okay.
Just,
Well, I guess, yeah, the rocket launcher can't kill him either.
no, just artifact creatures. It says just.
Yeah, so that's why Trey can't kill it, but a regular artifact can kill it, right?
Yeah.
No, I gotta look it up.
We'd have to pull it up on
I think you're right. I think it can't be damaged by artifact creature. It can't be blocked or damaged by artifact creatures.
Yeah.
Wow, so what a lightning round for Alex there, just knocking it out of the park with his onslaught of green Stompy. I don't think we need to jump back to sideboarding for game 3. I think these guys are going to leave their decks the same.
Yeah, and if I'm Alex here, I'm hoping that my opponent says, you can go first. I'll choose to draw first. And then the mono green's like, sure, I'll go first again. Because I think that helped him being on the play there that game.
Yeah, so the pixies is just artifact creatures, so the rocket launcher can still kill them. Pretty good answer for them. It really is only answer for them.
Yeah, drop of honey is really strong too, I think.
Oh yeah, and the drop of honey is good.
But he
and the
drew
abyss,
double
and the
pixie.
abyss is good. So I guess there's other.
Yeah, but double pixie that's what he needs to see is like scavenger folk, pixies, Gasbins on the play, right? That was the nuts. That was good. If you're playing the mono green deck there, I think you just get like a rush. It feels like you just drank like 3 Mountain Dews when you get that hand and just unload. You just plop your cards out on the table by like turn 3. You just played out your hand. It's like, oh, I just drank like 2 tall coffees or something. Gotta be fun. All right, guys, this is the deciding game. Who's got this? Who's going first?
Well, the control deck's going first, so that's going to slow the green deck down a little bit. But I don't know. I like the odds for the green deck. I think he can do the same thing again, just kind of dump his hand and beat in as fast as possible. It's definitely a race, though. I mean, if he plays something like this, turn 1 Ivory Tower, this could be a problem.
Please. Whoa. Why would you play Gasbin into life gain?
It's a huge player.
Oh, my.
That just was like the...
Oh, no, that's just like, here's the punt.
I hate this. I hate even watching it. Like, because, they had 2 really good games where their decks did what they were supposed to do. And then just a super punt game 3. I hate it. I don't even think he comes back from that, to be quite honest.
He's got a Pendlehaven Dragonfly. He can swing for 2, but he's taking 2, and the tower is just gaining life. I think he has to see Crumble or Scavenger Folk turn 1. That's what he needs.
Well, he's got 4 Scavenger Folk and 3 Crumbles, so there's 7 outs in his deck to get rid of that tower.
But just giving over a Gasbin is just,
Yeah.
like John said, that's painful. That's painful.
Oh, look at there. There's the Crumble right there. Bam. He got it.
I wonder if he had that on turn 1, though, instead of Gasbin and just...
Oh my god, if he did, then this is really bad.
Well, maybe he's thinking, oh, if I give my opponent life, if I crumble, gain life and be at 21, so I can't play this Gasbin, so I've got to play this Gasbin first, and then forgot, well, if you don't crumble,
I'm
you're going to gain life
sure
anyway.
that was the line of thinking.
I wonder if that's what happened, though.
Well, the good news is he's got his Pendlehaven out there, so he can protect with the Dragonfly if he wanted to. But
now his Pixies are just owned by his own Gasman Ogre.
Yeah. Well, he can fly over them.
I mean, the Pixie is owned by it.
Once he gets another forest, he can also make his Dragonfly a 2/3 first striker. There he goes. So now his Dragonfly can first strike, so he should just attack with the Pixies here.
I mean, now there's a drop of honey.
Well, that card face down on the
right?
side is
so
the Gasman Ogre, Chad. That's what I'm saying. His Pixie has a blocker, Gasman Ogre.
Yeah. Well, it's tapped though, right?
No, the face down magic card is a Gasman Ogre.
Oh, okay.
Really
I'm looking over on Alex's side, seeing the tapped Ogre over there.
Oh, yeah, it is tapped on Ogre on his screen. Maybe it is attacked and Virilio didn't tap it. I'm not sure.
Well, he's at 16.
It's untapped. He didn't attack with it that time. The real one on the other screen just got thrown off screen because it's not, it's in possession of the other player.
Hey, so if the drop of honey were to target the Dragonfly and then you pump it in response, then it becomes a tie. Oh my God, the rocket launcher again?
Oh, so the drop, it doesn't target. It actually just will only you choose if there's a tie, right? It says choose if there's a tie.
Guys, look at this. He got the rocket launcher again.
Man. Well, there's the crumble, but
and he had the crumble for it, but he's got this one-off card that's pivotal to his deck in every single game. That's wild.
Well, didn't save him game 2. I mean, he still needs to have the mana for it and all of that, but that drop is a real problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to eat everything. So, and he's got 2 drops of honey now.
Should the drop have killed the ogre just then?
If he didn't Pendlehaven, did he Pendlehaven his own guy?
I thought it killed Pixie first, and then it killed the Dragonfly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he pumped he pumped the Dragonfly the first turn.
So it'll lead it now on this next turn.
Yeah. So, well, but now he's going to shoot with the Triskelion, bringing.
That's so weird. I would rather have the 4/4 to attack with, but maybe not. I don't know. He's probably got Reconstruction or something.
Well, yeah, he's got a Reconstruction. That's why he's going to do it. Oh, and he's got Tetris too.
But you're right. It's more damage, I think, to let the 2/2 go and then attack for 4 and then shoot for 3. But yeah, I don't know.
And notice Virgilio got Tron really early this time.
That's it.
And wow, Alex is taken down by the.
He can't feel good about that. That was a really painful 30.
Yeah. I think he just had just a brain fart. Like it just went over his head, right? He's playing in the finals. He knows his game's being recorded. People are watching. And he's just like, I can't believe I did that. Like, we've all done that.
Yeah. It's easy to make errors. It's a lot easier than you think it is when you're feeling the pressure, for sure.
I'm curious how this game would have played out if he had done things a little different and kept the ogre and his own pixies to, all attack. And if he had 3 creatures in play against that drop, rather than Virilio having the 1 ogre and Alex only having 2 creatures on his side.
So look what Virgilio is showing he took out. He took out the Tabernacle, which I'm shocked.
Wow.
He took out the Candelabra, a Reconstruction, and a Tetrabus.
So he did what me and John and you thought, the 1 candle and the Tetrabus for the... Oh, he didn't bring Mirror of Universe. He brought Boomerang. But then he brought 2 Desert Twisters for the Tabernacle and the Reconstruction. That's interesting.
Wow.
I mean, those Desert Twisters are pretty big guns when the other guy's just playing weenies.
I know. Maybe he's like, I got to kill a pixie,
Yeah, at all costs.
I got to kill a pixie with this giant tornado that costs 6 mana.
All right. Well, so that's going to do it for our tournament number 20 semifinals. Not exactly, the way we'd like to see it go down, but like you mentioned, Tim, play errors happen. You're under pressure. You got people watching, and it's easy to make a mistake. So I don't know if that one mistake swung the entire game, but you're definitely right, John. It's not what you want to see when you're 1-1, and an error like that gets you off on the wrong foot. Virgilio's Tron takes down Alex's mono green Stompy, and Virgilio will be proceeding on to the finals. In our other semifinals match, Derek Saylor's facing off against Luke Federer, so the winner of that match will be going to the finals brackets, and we'll be seeing Virgilio there. Thanks for joining us for our tournament number 20 semifinals match, and join us in the next video for the finals. Tim and John, thanks for joining me tonight and commentating, and we'll sign off. We'll see you guys next time.
Good night.
See ya. That was fun, thanks.